Hey everyone, this is Jonathan from Chegg Tutors, and this lesson is about carbon and the highly ordered skeletons of carbon atoms, which can be referred to as the bodybuilders of molecules, and we'll see why it's called that. But first, let's just figure out what carbon is. So carbon is found in group 4, not including the transition metals of the periodic table. It has 6 protons and 6 neutrons to give atomic mass of around 12. And since it has 6 protons, in order to stay neutral, it also has 6 electrons, which will be important. And if we remember the structure, the Bohr model of an atom, we have the nucleus, and then we have these rings where the electrons can be found. And each ring can hold up to a certain amount of electrons. The first ring can hold up to 2, the second ring can hold up to 8, and so on. But for now, we only care about the first 2 rings, especially when considering carbon. So let's now move on and to see why carbon is important. So why is it so important? So living organisms are primarily made up of carbon. That's because the many complex molecules that all living organisms are made up of, such as proteins, nucleic acids like DNA and RNA, or carbohydrates or lipids, they're all essential for life, so they're found everywhere. And the fundamental component, that huge skeleton backbone of these molecules, is carbon. So carbon serves as this perfect builder of these complex molecules, and we'll see why in a second. So what makes carbon so special? So like before, where we said that carbon has 6 electrons, let's draw the Bohr model for carbon. So it has 6 protons, so plus 6 in the nucleus, and it has 6 electrons, so we'll put 2 on the first shell, and we'll put the other 4 on the second shell. So the outer shell of an atom is responsible for its bonding. This is the valence shell. These electrons, these four valence electrons, they are responsible for the bonding of carbon to other atoms. So we can draw the Lewis structure for carbon with its 4 valence electrons, and you see that since every bond consists of 2 electrons, you can see that you have the availability of 4 potential bonds. So let's say we have hydrogen with 1 electron. It comes in, bonds here, to form 1 bond, 2 electrons that are being shared in a covalent bond. Another hydrogen comes in, forms another bond, another hydrogen comes in, forms another bond, and another bond. Now this is just CH4, so this is a little bit limited, but it goes to show you that carbon has the potential to be the perfect atom in these huge complex molecules because it can form 4 bonds. So what are the benefits of having 4 valence electrons? So, like we said before, carbon can form 4 bonds. So you can start, I'm going to start it with drawing the Lewis structures. So let's say another carbon comes in with its 4 valence electrons. It forms a bond here. And then another carbon comes in, forms a bond here. And then I have to fill in the rest of the valence electrons. And then another carbon comes in. So you can start making these really long chains. And then you can even start branching off to make a huge variety. There's endless possibilities of the carbon chains that you can form. And we're also going to assume that if the other things that the carbon are bonded to fill up the full octet and make it completely stable is hydrogen. So here would be a hydrogen, 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 and so on, because carbon needs to form 4 bonds to get the 8 valence electron shell and have a stable octet. But you can see that you can start branching off and form these really complex molecules, such as the ones found that are essential for life, such as carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids. So carbon, we usually draw the skeletal structure of carbon as these little ridges. And each spot right here, each junction, indicates a carbon atom. Same here at the ends. So instead of just writing C, C, C over, they're normally, since we know that carbon is usually the skeletal backbone for a lot of complex molecules, we can just draw it like that. So we can start branching off and branching off like that. Or you can draw it this way, where you just have your carbons. But you can also start wrapping around and forming rings with carbon. So carbon can form ring structures by wrapping around. And here, you'd have hydrogens, hydrogen, so you can see that the array of complexity with the molecules that carbon has the potential to form is endless. It really allows for these incredible molecules, these huge molecules of endless possibilities to be formed that are essential for life. So we can have a huge array of carbohydrates themselves because all the branching off that carbon can do by bonding to 4 different things, it's incredible. So I hope this helped and showed you how important carbon is for life.